Alright, Joey Paul Geiger, PERA. Contents. Contents. Operation capabilities, fuel specification, fuel properties, additives, product segregation, transfer flow rates, physical security, maintainable compatibilities, voice communication, other communication, vapor recovery, work safety, electric design, catalytic protection, environmental protection, fire protection, emergency shutdown, electromagnetic radiation, hazard identification, anti-state design, operation, maintenance, documentation, protection against seismic activity. This is a unified facility criteria. United States government, which is public domain, and has authorized unlimited industry are not copyrighted. Alright, 1. Operation capabilities. Design fuel facilities for continued operations, even the emergency, temporary expedient, despite expedience. This is 8. The loss of one or more components of the fuel receiving the dispensing system by any action or other factors. For tactical mission-related facilities, fuel facilities provide alternate source of fuel for the full fuel facilities to ensure emergency operation under most adverse, including backup emergency generators, maintain consistent prescribed criteria and appropriate directives, instruction standards, including NATO standards. 2. Fuel specification. Fuel specifications apply with various petroleum fuels that may be addressed. Military detail 5, 6, 2, 4, turbine fuel, aviation grade JP4 and 5. Mil detail 3, 8, 2, 1, 9. Turbine fuel low volatile GP7. Mil detail turbine fuel aviation kerosene type JP8 and 80F35 and JP8 plus 100. Mil detail 25524 fuel turbine fuel aviation thermal stable. ASTM D1655 standard specification aviation turbine fuels. CID AA 52557 fuel oil diesel post camp station. CID AA 5693 diesel fuel biodiesel blend B20. Mil detail 16884 fuel naval distillated. And then your ASTM D3699 standard specification for kerosene. ASTM D4814 standard specification automotive spark engine fuel. ASTM D910 specification aviation gas. ASTM D975 standard specification diesel fuel oils. Mil detail 87107 propellant high density synthetic hydrocarbon type grade JP10. ASTM 5798 standard specification fuel ethanol for automotive spark ignition engines. ASTM D6751 standard specification biodiesel blend stock for middle distillated fuels. ASTM D7467 standard specification diesel fuel biodiesel blend B6 to 20. Alright, fuel properties and additives. In addition with the fuel specification, refer to the Coordination Research Council Incorporated CRC report number 635 Handbook Aviation Fuel Properties. Additional fuel properties. The following paragraphs listed physical properties, various grades, fuel additives which affect the design, petroleum fuel facility, DANO designation shown in brackets, motor gasoline or MoGas, special precautions of MoGas. Because high volatility gasoline produces large amounts of vapor at ordinary temperatures combined with the tank of the container liquid temperatures above 20 degrees Fahrenheit. Vapor space normally too rich to be explosive at temperature 20 degrees or less. Vapor space above gasoline may be the explosive range. 1 gallon of liquid gasoline will be vaporized and will occupy 25 cubic feet of space if permitted to escape and may diluted in air with high flammability, provided design that includes disposing MoGas in storm and sanitary sewers. Aviation gas or AVE gas. Description of aviation gas. Aviation gas is high-octane aviation fuel used for piston, Wankel engines powered by the aircraft distinguished from motor gas, which is everyday gasoline ground vehicles. AVE gas grades. 100 LL, spoken as 100 low lead, most common grade, used mainly in applications. It's dyed blue and contains a maximum of 2 grams of lead per U.S. gallon and the most commonly available used aviation gasoline. Other grades are theoretically available include grade 80, grade 91, 100, and 82 UL. Difference in 80, 91, 100, and 100 LL are lead content color. Grade 82 UL is unleaded. 323, special precaution for avgas. Use the wrong grade of the gasoline causes the engine problem. Virtually all grades of avgas contain tetraethyl lead as the lead-based anti-knock compound. See MoGas fiability issues. It shows aviation turbine fuels. Grade, number, relative density, specific gravity, read pressure at 100 degrees Fahrenheit, minimum flash point, average viscosity at 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and freezing point. 332, special precaution aviation turbine fuels. We cover the specific series of the consequence of the turbine engine failure, nature of the fuel system, turbine engine provided design, which include the prevent contamination aviation turbine fuels by dirt, water, and other types of fuel soil. Contaminants are generally those. Alright, 332, special precaution aviation turbine fuels. Because of the serious consequences of turbine engine failure, nature of the fuel system of the turbine engines provided design with include to prevent contamination aviation turbine fuels by dirt, water, and other types of fuel. Solid contaminants are generally those that are insoluble in the fuel. Most common are iron rust, scale, sand, and dirt. Iron rust contaminants aviation turbine fuel. Special filterization is required for the receipt of the aviation turbine fuel in bulk storage, operating storage, to remove contaminants before fuel is delivered to the aircraft. To preserve fuel quality, limit the materials in contact with the fuel to stainless steel, non-ferrous, carbon-coated steel for aircraft fueling systems. Not use zinc, or copper-bearing alloys. In contact with aluminum turbine fuels include pipe valves, equipment, and accessories. Maximum allowable aircraft servicing using limited solids of 2.0 milligrams a liter. Maximum allowable aircraft servicing limit of free water is 5 parts per million. The maximum allowable Air Force aircraft servicing use limited solids at 0.5 milligrams a liter, and maximum allowable service use limits for free water at 10 parts per million provide a design that precludes disposing aviation turbine fuels in storm and sanitary sewers. 3-4 kerosene ASTM D3699. Physical properties of the kerosene. Relative to the density, API gravity 51 degrees at 236 degrees API. Specific gravity 0.775 to 0.840. Read vapor pressure 0.5 psi. And that's the maximum degrees at 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Flash point 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Viscosity 104 degrees Fahrenheit. Freezing point 22 degrees. Special precaution for kerosene. Design separate system of the kerosene. Avoid discolorization caused by contamination. Provide a design that precludes disposing kerosene in the storm sewers. Diesel fuel, sulfur content of diesel fuel. Diesel fuel is available with the motive of the fuel. United States low sulfur diesel, which has maximum sulfur content of 500 parts per million. Ultra low sulfur diesel, which has a maximum sulfur content of 15 parts per million. Both meeting ASTM D975. Physical property of the diesel fuel shown in automotive diesel fuel 5 at DF2. Diesel fuel marine, ultra low sulfur diesel. The relative degrees and relative density, API gravity, and specific gravity, read vapor pressure, flash point, viscosity at 104 degrees, pour point. 353, special precaution for low sulfur diesel fuels. While not critical, aviation turbine diesel fuel is subject to the damage of the dirt and water fuel, and avoid contamination of dirt and water and dilution with lighter fuels. In cold climates, provide a design that will prevent galling. Provide a design that precludes disposing diesel fuel in the stormwater and sanitary sewers. 354, special precaution ultra low sulfur diesel. With the reduction of the sulfur content that comes with the reduction of the overall lubricity, conductivity of the fuel, lower lubricity level can cause premature wear or damage to the metal parts, typical compression condition engines. Lubricity additives are added in accordance with the ASTM D975. Low conductivity can cause potential for increased risk of fire explosion caused by the static electricity, even though the conductive additive is added. It is recommended for the flow rates that are limited to bonding and grounding equipment to be utilized to minimize static electricity during loading operations. Alright, 36 burner fuels. Physical property of the burner fuel oils. And it shows grade number 1, 2, 4, 5 light, 5 heavy, 6 relative density, specific grade, read vapor pressure at 100 degrees Fahrenheit, maximum flash point, average viscosity at 100 degrees Fahrenheit, pour point, gross heat value, BTUs to the pound. Alright, 362, special precaution burner fuel oils. When ambient temperature of the burner fuel is less than 20 degrees Fahrenheit above the pour point temperature of the burner fuel only needs to be heated. The burner fuel oils pour point temperature of the fuel has reach a gel-like state will be difficult to pump. In nearly all cases, number 6 fuel oil requires heating to be pumped. In some cases, number 4 and 5 burner fuel oils will require heating. Provide a design that precludes the disposing of the burner fuel oils in stormwater sewer waters. 3.7 Alternative fuel E85 ASTM D5798 physical properties specific gravity 0.76 to 0.78 read vapor pressure 6 to 12 psi A P at flashpoint negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit viscosity 6.1 to times 10 to the 6 to 3.4 10 to the 5 feet squared seconds. Pour point negative 212 degrees Fahrenheit. 372 Special precaution for the E85. Due to the corrosive E85, many of the common materials used for the gasoline system are compatible to handling with storage alcohols. Ethanol E85 or ethanol is 85% ethanol alcohol. Zinc, brass, lead, and aluminum lead base solders are several of the metals that become degraded by ethanol exposure. Other metals include unplated steel, stainless steel, back iron, bronze seems to have acceptable resistance to ethanol corrosion. Certain non-metallic materials have been successful. They use ethanol, butyl, neprene, rather polyethanol, nolly, polypropylene, nitrile, Viton, Teflon. Common non-metallic materials degrade with the ethanol, natural rubber, polyurethane, cork, gasket material, leather, polyester bonded fiberglass, laminate, polyvinyl chloride, polyamides, methyl, methacrylate plastic. Proper cleaning of the existing tanks may be converted with the E85 storage is required, but E85 solvent properties loosen tank deposits, ethanol dispensing, and 1 micron line filter. Recommended impurity particle removal shelf life at E85 approximately 60 to 90 days. In some cases, at normal temperature, E85 is less explosive than gasoline. E85 is more explosive at a lower temperature. The ethanol vapors are similar have behavior to gasoline, but a lower vapor pressure. E85 is electrical conductor, potential carcinogenic. Provide a design that precludes disposing 85 in the storm and sewer drains. Alright, 3.8 Alternative fuel biodiesel. Physical property biodiesel fuel. Biodiesel fuel B20 is a blend of petroleum diesel fuel at the ASTM D975 at 100% neat. Diesel fuel meeting ASTM D6751 and EN 14214, where the biodiesel content blend fuel is no more than 20% biodiesel. Volume B20 biodiesel has a physical property that is very similar to conventional diesel. Specific gravity 0.870 to 0.890, rapid 0, pressure 0 psi A, flash point 100 degrees Fahrenheit, viscosity 104 degrees Fahrenheit, pour point 10 degrees. Alright, 382 Special precaution biodiesel. In the biodiesel, it's recommended that a 30 micron, 10 micron inline filter be used for sessions, primary, secondary with the impurity particle removal. Biodiesel B100 has good solvent qualities, will remove the deposits from fuel system. As a result of the more required filter changes initially. One of the most common use of blend for the biodiesel B20. B20 has approved for use in combat tactical vehicles. Equipment the use of the biodiesel and other engines vehicles have the review of the vehicle manufacturer copies can be obtained at biodiesel.org. B20 should be used with a 6-month manufacturer because of the fuel shelf life. Users should be aware of the B20 blend will have increased viscosity requirements. Provide design precludes disposing biodiesel fuels in stormwater and sanitary sewers for Air Force projects. See ETL 0304. Liquid petroleum gas, or LPG. Physical properties of liquid petroleum gas. Liquid petroleum gas is composed predominantly of propane, propanol, with minor amounts of butane, isobutane, butylene. An odorless, colorless, non-toxic, reduce the danger of explosion, undetected leaks. Commercial liquid petroleum gas usually contains the odorizing agent, which gives a distinctive pungent odor. Liquid petroleum gas is a vapor atmospheric condition normally stored at liquids and strong storage pressure of 200 psi. Liquid has the following properties: freezing point degrees, negative 300 degrees Fahrenheit, relative density 147 degrees API, vapor pressure 100 degrees Fahrenheit, 175.8 psi, heat content BTU 2159 and joule. Special precaution for liquid petroleum gas. Store liquid petroleum gas under pressure. Appropriate pressurized rated tanks. The potential fire explosion presents extreme hazard to the life of the property. Provide adequate relief vent and additional fire protection according to the National Fire Protection Association 58. Provide tank spacing according to the requirements of Chapter 10 of this UFC. Alright, 310, compressed natural gas. Physical property of the compressed natural gas. Appendix A of the National Protection Fire Protection Agency 58. Alright, I'll turn my noise on. Compressed natural gas vehicular. Compressed natural gas vehicular fuel system defines the compressed natural gas property. Natural gas and flame gas, colorless, tasteless, non-toxic. It's like gas weighing with 2/3 as much air, but it tends to rise, diffuse rapidly in the air. Eliminates from system. Natural gas burns in a luminous flame. Atmospheric pressure ignition temperature for the natural gas mixtures have been reported to be as low as 900 degrees Fahrenheit. Flammable limited for the natural gas air mixture of atmospheric pressure about 5% to 15% by the volume of the natural gas. The natural gas consists of the principle of methane. It also contains ethane. And all small amounts of the propane, butane, hydrocarbon, higher hydrocarbons may contain small amounts of nitrogen, carbon dioxide, hydrosulfide, helium, which will vary with the 0 of the few percent depending on the source of the seasonal effects. As distributed in the United States and Canada, natural gas also contains water vapor. This pure pipeline quality gas contains 7 pounds per water, 7 pounds or more water per million cubic feet of gas. Some constitute natural gas, especially carbon dioxide. Hydrogen sulfide is presence of liquid water can be corrosive. Carbon steel with a corrosive effect. Increase with the pressure of the compressed natural gas systems covered by the National Fire Protection Agency. Association 52, substantial above those used for the transmission, distribution, piping, other natural gas consuming equipment. As excessive corrosion leads to sudden explosive rupture of a container. The hazard must be controlled with the precaution for the compressed natural gas fueling station, typically less than 500 psi. Special precaution: compressed natural gas provide venting of the safe relief in the areas where the compressed gas and natural gas is to be stored. Compressed natural gas is a highly flammable substance, therefore design facilities use the following precautions to prevent fuel fires being uncontrollable. Do not direct extinguish fires with water. Do not extinguish large fires. Allow large fires to burn cooling adjacent to the equipment of water spray. Shut off the compressed natural gas source if possible. Extinguish small fires with dry chemical. Compressed natural gas is non-toxic and causes intoxicating asphyxiation, which displaces the normal 21% of oxygen in a confined area with adequate ventilation. Because of the corrosion problem, the Department of Transportation certified limited of 0.5 pound per million cubic feet. Alright, 3011 is the auto fuels. Information auto fuels is not part of the discussion. 12, lubrication oils. 312.1 steam turbine lubricating oils. 02 to 250 mil per reference. 17331. Fuels using main turbine gears, auxiliary turbine installation, certain hydraulic equipment, and general mechanical lubrication, air compressor, physical properties, flash point 400 degrees Fahrenheit, pour point 20 degrees Fahrenheit, viscosity at 104 degrees Fahrenheit, 80 to 104, 10 to the 5th feet per square second. Alright, 312.2 lubricating oil, 0278, mil preference 9,000 for every design, advanced design, high output shipboards, main propulsion auxiliary diesel general engines, sheaves fuel, conforming mills detail 16884. 312.3 special precaution lubricating oils to pump oil when the aim and the temperature of lubricating oil is less than 20 degrees Fahrenheit above pour point temperature. Heating lubricating oil at the pour point temperature, oil becomes gel-like, difficult to pump. Ensure the design does not allow the discharge of lubricating oil into storm and sewer drain sewers. 313 hydrogenizing water. 870 mil preference 26536. 313.1 physical property for the 870 fuel mixture is 70% hydrazine, 30% water, clearly oil, water like liquid, fishy, ammonia like odor, stable under extreme heat and cold. However, it reacts to carbon dioxide and oxygen in water. It may ignite spontaneously when the contact of metal oxides such as rust. Alright, 313.2 special precaution to 870. Keep it working storage areas clean. If 3 materials react to hydrazine, peroxide, a stainless steel area with the extent with the content possible. Available areas of the incidental contact possible should be kept free of rust. Ensure the design does not allow the discharge of 870 in the storm sewer drain. Fuel additives, fuel systems, icing inhibitors, high flash, and ethanol glide monomethyl ether. Used in aviation turbine fuels to prevent formation of icicles and trap the water with fuel freezing temperature, in addition with a good biocide property for preventing growth of microorganisms in the fuel. Avoid water entry bottoms in the storage tank because of the additives will dissolve the water, reducing concentration of the additives left in the fuel. For the fuel specification, more information, consult federal, state, local regulations for appropriate disposal methods. Alright, 1342 corrosion inhibitor lubricity improver, mil preference 25016. Combination lubricity improver, the corrosion inhibitor additive procured with a mil preference 25017, injected many aviation turbines or refinery in order to improve lubricating characteristics of the fuel. 1343 static dissipator additive. The static dissipator additive enhances safety during the handling flight with a reducing static discharge potential vapor spray for the bulb of the fuel with a static discharge additive, the increase of the conductivity of the fuel, decreasing the electrostatic discharge relaxation time. The rate of the charge dissipates to travel through the fuel, the decrease of the potential for the ignition of the straight static charges, actual proportion in accordance with the specific fuel specification, fuel system design purpose for the consume, lower point of 50 pico Siemens per meter with a determination relaxation. Requirements to the static dissipator additive is added to all JP8. Static dissipator additive is not added. JP5 F76 or JAA1 is stored in some installations. Or 3144 thermal stability improver additive 1 plus 100 additive thermal stability additive. Enhances safety during handling flight and by increasing fuel tolerance at elevated temperatures. GP8 plus 100 NATO F37 is aviation turbine fuel utilizes the thermal stability improver additive. Alright, 4. Production segregation. Product grades, except for the otherwise approved by the owner, provide separate receiving storage distribution system for each product, except as otherwise approved by the owner, and prevent misfueling, transfer type of the fuel to the other type intended by using different size valves, piping adapters, nozzles, and etc. The products meant to be segregated MoGas diesel fuel, including ultra low sulfur diesel distillate type burner fuels number 1 and 2, kerosene. Aviation turbine separate systems for each grade. Residual type burner fuels number 4, 5, and 6. Liquid petroleum gas, compressed natural gas, auto fuels E85, and biodiesel fuel. 4.2 exemption. Design of the different products used with the same piping may be approved with along receiving lines, such as tanker, barge, pier, cross-country pipeline storage facilities where such common occurs. Make provisions for receiving segregation interfaces between the two products. Consider the use of pigs or breakout tanks as separate batches. Exemptions will not be approved in common system to carry both clean and residual type of fuels. 5. Transfer flow rates. Table 4 shows the recommended range for the design rates. In some cases, greater ranges may be needed to meet the operational requirements. Alright, it shows the service aviation turbine fuel, diesel fuel, burner fuel, oils at their bassoon storage tank gallons per minute, tanker car unloading storage gallons per minute, tanker truck unloading storage gallons per minute, gravity recipient 2 storage gallons per minute, storage tank to tanker truck refueler loading gallons per minute, delivery direct fuel stations, aircraft gallon per minute, delivery direct fuel station, helicopters gallon per minute, super tanker storage gallon per minute, between regular tank and storage gallon per minute, between barge and storage gallons per minute, to fleet oilers, to AOEs gallon, and to carriers GPMs, the average cruiser GPMs, the average destroyer GPMs, the storage to tank car loading GPMs. Alright, 6. Physical security. Plan design fuel facilities with the goal of protecting fuel storage transfer capability, any may attack, terrorist, sabotage, fire, seismic activity, other damaging influence, high threat areas, more extensive protection may require. Alright, 6. Anti-terrorism, physical security program, and a minimum fuel supply support points, pipeline pumping station, piers may be designated, posted, controlled areas are critical, containing critical assets that may be designed the restricted area, control of the restricted area, the defined area with a special restricted measure for the employee to prevent entries, unauthorized entry, restricted areas that may be different type depending on the nature of the varying degree of the importance of the protected asset. The restricted areas must be authorized, properly posted, and should employ physical security measurements. Security fencing. Otherwise directed the owner of the provide security fencing around all petroleum facilities to ensure safety, inhibit sabotage, thus vandalism. Unauthorized personnel install 7-foot fabricated height fence, chain like type 3 brand stranded barbed wire outriggers on the top of its equivalent. Alright, 7. Maintainable qualities. Provide adequate maintained space around equipment and filter separately other filterization device. Maintain across. Access particular element and removal of a vertical filterization device. Provide zero platform access to at least one side of each unit. Manual valves, especially replacement slip with the double lock and bleed. Taper lift bike valves. Adequate room location. Use the inlet intelligent pig launcher and receiver in all sections of piping. Meter reading maintenance control valve pumping including removal instrument, especially those mounted to the tank shells. 8. Voice communication. Provide voice communication between separated areas, receiving the dispensing pumping station, fuel storage area, coordination, order operations involved in the fuel transfer. 9. Other communications. Alright, data communications system shall be designed and accredited with the design accredited authority, authorization officials in accordance with the applicable telecommunication industry, Association Electronic Industry Association. Documents coordinate with the local base communication squadron where applicable. 9.2 Fire alarm communication. Fire alarm communication system shall be coordinated with the fire department. 10. Vapor recovery. Provided vapor recovery when required by federal, state, and local regulations. Title 40 CFR Part 60 Subpart 20. Worker safety. Alright, worker safety. Design facilities comply with the most stringent occupational safety health and administration standards, or OSHA. Also ensure that they comply with the service-specific occupational safety health criteria. Alright, 11.1. Safety showers and eye wash fountains. Safety showers, eye wash facilities are required. Workshop, laboratory, pump house, fueling purifiers, similar facility, fixed safety showers, eye wash facilities, or portable wash units should be installed at other locations where fuel is transferred to and from trucks, rail cars, and aircrafts. R12, electrical design, area classification. Classify all facilities. Expect the modified here in accordance with the API recommended practice 500, National Fire Protection Association 30 and 70, ASI IEEE C2. These practices may be modified unusual or conditions occur where location contains hazardous atmosphere classified other than Group D as defined in the National Fire Protection Association 70, or where equipment malfunction may hazard a situation. Use sound judgment to apply these requirements. Specific high classification where necessary to maintain safety, continuity of service. Treat combustible liquids under pressure with flammable liquid. All piping equipment, including with the connected with the atmospheric storage tank, should be considered pressurized. Ensure that the design is in accordance with the requirement of the National Fire Protection Association 7, specific division. Ensure class. Ensure the equipment temperature class, operating temperature in accordance with the National Fire Protection Association 70. Ensure project drawings include hazardous areas and plans indicating extent with the classification area. Drawing should provide the dimensions indicating extent with the classified area. Should include the selection elevation where required to fully convey the extent of the area. Class 1, Division 1. Class 1, Division 1 locations, outdoor locations other than and those indoor locations that have positive mechanical ventilation, in which is that within 3 feet of the filling, open the vents for the individual containers to which flammable liquids are being transferred. Provide alarm device ventilation system. Outdoor location 5 feet of open end vents. Open is on liquid fuel storage tanks, extends in all directions. Entire pit sump, open trench, other depressions, any part within the Division 1-2 location without mechanical ventilation. Location with or on exterior walls on open top spill contaminant structures, including oil, water, separator, spill, contaminant boxes. Location of fuel dispensers. Location within 3 feet of the vent of extending all directions within loading truck over the bottom of the connection. All pump filter houses handling liquid fuels and air containment electrical equipment that is or may be exposed to atomized fuel when ambient temperature can any time above the flash point of the fuel. Alright, 12.1.2, Class 1, Division 2. Class 1, Division 2 and locations include outdoor location between 5 feet, 10 feet with a Division 1 zone with vents opening with the liquid fuel storage tanks extending in all directions, entire pump, pit, sump, open trench, other depressions, any part of which for the Division 1-2 location provides mechanical ventilation. Outdoors location 3 foot of the exterior surface of the pump, air relief valves, method draws, fittings, meters, similar devices located with the pipelines handling liquid fuels under pressure. Class 1, Division 2, location extending up to 18 inches above the grade level within 10 feet of the horizontal from any surface device. D, location extending upward toward the decks surrounding above ground containing liquid fuels. Within 10 feet of the extending in all directions of the tank shells and ends of the roof. Location extending up to 18 inches above the grade level of 15 feet horizontally with any surface with the open spill contaminant source, including the oil separated spill contaminant boxes, whether indoors or outdoors. Location 20 feet horizontal in all directions, pure side of the portion of the hull containing cargo from the water level to 25 feet of cargo tank at the highest point. Areas between 3 feet and 10 feet, extending in all direction vent where loading a truck all upward to 8 inches above the ground within 10 feet of the horizontally from the truck loading connection. 12.1.3 non-classified locations. Non-classified locations include outdoor locations having closed piping system handling flammable combustible liquids with no pumps, air relief valves, withdrawal fittings, valves, screwed fittings, flanges, meter, similar devices which create joints and piping of the buildings, boiler rooms, control rooms, similar locations outside of the limit. Hazardous location defined above that are not used in transferring flammable combustible liquid containers such as liquid. Areas and flammable combustible liquids are stored in accordance with the National Fire Protection Association 30 outside limited classified location limited. Liquids are not transferred. Alright, 12.2. Illumination. Illumination. All works of the night operation minimum intensity recommended with the table 4 API recommended practice 540. Light design should be approved. The road access tall light post all out. Lamp replacement for a facility within jurisdiction of the U.S. Coast Guard under Title 33 CFR Part 154. Illuminate to minimum intensity required by this regulation. Provide security lighting in accordance with UFC 3530.01 local state regulation and file meet stringent requirements. Alright, 12.3. Your grounding and bonding. Follow the reference applied with the grounding and the bonding. ANSI IEEE 141, National Fire Protection Association 70, 77, 780. API recommended practice 540 in 2003. ANSI IEEE 1100, National Fire Protection Association 407, UFC 357501. Alright, grounding requirements. Grounding of the following in the items in accordance with the Article 250 National Fire Protection Association 7. The motor generating transformer frames, known current, carrying metallic parts, equipment, insulation, such as the enclosure panel board, switchgears, motor control centers, metallic messengers, self-supporting cables, exposed conductive materials, including electrical conductors such as metallic conduit, metallic tubing, metallic armoring, sheaths, shields, cable, through trays, racks, wireways, or busways, filter separators, other filtration equipment. 12.3.2 Current low and lightning protection. Provide lightning protection according to the National Fire Protection Association 780 local requirements for current protection, lighting protection, grounding from the following items to the ground rods, beds and bond to the ground network. Provide ground for these items for the required above the references, fences, lighting arresters, lightning shield conductors, operating mechanisms, overhead air brake switches, canopies, above ground storage tanks. Alright, 12.3.3 Static electricity prevention. To prevent buildup of static electricity ground, following items directly with the ground rods, beds around the grounded network and do not exceed 10,000 ohms. Resistant ground, unless otherwise stated, do not bound similar metals together. Above ground tanks, vessel stacks, heat exchangers, similar equipment not directly supported or bolted to the grounding supporting network. Pipe and pipe support columns according to the more stringent National Fire Protection Association 77 or below. Provide minimum one ground rod on pipes runs of 100 feet or longer or less. If the pipe is connected with the ground source within 100 feet, provide two ground rods runs pipe that exceeds 100 feet but less than 300 feet in length. Provide one minimum ground rod at intervals not exceeding 300 feet on the runs of pipe that are greater than 300 feet in length. Parallel pipes may be bonded in common grounds or used spaced in accordance with 1 through 3 above. Aircraft direct fueling station hydrant pipes, internal floating pans bonded to the storage tank shell. Above ground portion electrically isolated piping in the truck rail, mirroring loading unloading station. Alright, 12.3.4 Your insulation. Isolating ground system instruments, instrument control boards, electronic equipment from other ground systems. Additional grounding is not required for the overhead electrical equipment bolted directly to the ground metallic structure. Where feasible, separate with a conductor connecting lightning rod of the grounding electrode from other grounding conductors. Route the minimum sharp bends in most of the direct manner with the grounding electrode. Do not use electrode in lieu of grounding electrodes, which may be required for other systems. This provision does not prohibit the required bonding together with the grounding electrodes for different systems. Alright, 13. Cathodic protection. Observe the service of the National Association Corrosion Engineers, Certified Corrosion Specialist, Cathodic Protection Specialist, Registered Professional Corrosion Engineer. Perform all cathodic protection design testing. 13.1 Tanks. For all underground steel tanks and tank bombs, above ground vertical tanks, provide cathodic protection in accordance with the API recommended practice 651, Title 40, CFR Part 280, and UL 1746. Current tank design configuration electrically isolates the tank bottom from surrounding earth, therefore install cathodic protection between liner and tank bottom. Alright, 13.2 Piping. For all carbon steel, stainless steel, underground, underwater piping provide cathodic protection in accordance with Title 40 CFR Part 280 for piping associated underground storage tank. For additional information, cathodic protection refer to National Association of Corrosion Engineers. Standard Practice 0169, control external corrosion of underground and submerged metallic piping system. Title 49 CFR Part 195, buried stainless steel corrodes, therefore must be cathodically protected. Alright, 12, 13, 21. Surge arresters provide surge arrestor across all above ground insulated flanges connected with below ground cathodic protected piping. Require surge arresters to be designed for use of insulated flanges for use as Class 1 Division 1 areas. Provide covers over flanges, preclude dirt from degrading surge arresters. Structures obtain services of the National Association of Corrosion Engineer, Certified Corrosion Specialist, or Cathodic Protection Specialist, Registered Professional Corrosion Engineer to evaluate need with cathodic protection on steel portion of fuel supporting facilities. Alright, 14, environmental policy protection, or general policy. Usually owner policies design constructing fueling facility managed to prevent damage, environmental accident, discharge fuel vapors, resides. Design must comply with the national, state, local environmental protection regulation effective with particular facilities. Regulations 1421 within the U.S. jurisdiction of the United States adhere to the following Environmental Protection Agency regulation: National Environmental Policy Act, U.S. Coast Guard Regulation, Title 33, CFR 154, Emergency Protection Agency Regulation, Title 40, Part 60, 112, 122, 280, 281, Department of Transportation Regulation, Title 49, CFR Part 195. Outside the U.S., activities of other country consult appropriate environmental directives if tanks to be located in locale or street with more stringent criteria. Use the more stringent criteria for the most stringent local regulations. 14th, retransfer of fuel at ports, bulk transformation complying with the Title 33 CFR Part 154 required for each fixed facility capable of transferring fuel bulk to or from a vessel with a capacity of 10,500 gallons or more. The facility is required to have operational manual proof of the captain of the port, an operational manual including requirements of the following systems: hose, assembly, loading arms, closer devices, monitoring devices, small discharge contaminant, discharge removal, discharge contaminant, equipment, emergency shutdown, communication, and lightning. Vapor collection. Facilities will collect vapor to the vessel cargo tanks and ensure the requirement of Title 40 CFR Part 60 the following items are met: vapor line connections, vessel liquid overfill protection, vessel vapor overpressure vacuum protection, fire explosion detonation protection, detonation arresters, flame screens, enriching diluting system, vapor arrestor blowers, vapor recovery, vapor discovery units. 14.4 Air quality. Design requirements. Regulatory requirements pertain to air quality control vary according to locality and type of the site of the petroleum vapor source. So these petroleum storage dispensing facilities commonly source of air pollution. Their emissions are typically restricted through the requirements of state and local regulations, federal regulations, Title 40 CFR 60 subparts KB, and through 20 may also be depending on the product handled with the site of the tank of the facility being constructed. Alright, 14.4.2, above ground storage tank. Federal regulation, Title 40 CFR Part 60 subpart KB, with the requirement of the tank with the storage of fuel with design capacity greater than 19,000 gallons, have the true vapor greater than 0.75 psi. And operating temperature must be equivalent to either 1, fixed roof, the combination internal floating pan, 2, the external floating roof equipped with a dual seal closure device between the wall of the tank and the roof of the edge. 3, a closed vent system designed to collect all volatile organic compound vapors, gases discharged from the tank. Control device to reduce volatile organic compound emissions by 95% or greater. The design intent of the most vertical above ground tanks will have an internal floating tank with the vapor recovery will be only if the required federal, state, local regulation of the type of the fuel tank proposed expected as specifically required by other regulations. Trucks, railing, and loading facilities. Tanker truck and tanker car loading facilities constructed with the modified December 17, 1980, loaded annually average of more than 20,000 gallons per day with the fuel having the true vapor pressure of 0.7 psi. Greater must be discharge vapor the result of such operation closed system. Ensure the system leaves the vapor recovery disposal system capable of removing 95% of the petroleum vapor before final discharge into the atmosphere. Equipment, bulk, gasoline terminals handling fuel to TVP or true vapor pressure greater than 4.03003 psia. The vapor collection system designed to collect the total organic compound vapors displaced in the tank truck during loading. Emissions vapor control system due to line loading must not exceed 35 milligrams of the Total organic compound per liter of gasoline loaded facility with existing vapor process system. Total organic compound emissions must not exceed 80 milligrams total organic compound per liter for the gasoline loaded with the title CFR 40, Part 60, Subpart 20. Alright, 1444, permit requirements. Air quality permits are typically required for the construction of petroleum storage dispensing facility that's essential for the design and review of the regulatory requirements, ensuring incorporating proper environmental control, state, local regulation, primary source for the air quality requirements. Particular large facilities also beneficial if conferred with the EPA regional office if the permit review of the air quality control will further depend on whether the construction site is located with attentment and non-attentment areas zone. Different permit programs apply in these areas, but they can both yield strict control requirements depending on the air quality in the area. The emission offset analysis may be necessary for the before any construction permit can be granted. Analysis required to demonstrate a reduction of volatile organic compound emissions, otherwise source of the locality where the new construction is to take place offset and can be obtained, providing new better controls, otherwise decreasing emissions for the existing source. Alright, 14.5. Water quality controls, design, requirement, protection, natural waters against pollution for the discharge, petroleum achieved complying with the federal, state, and local regulations. 14.5.2. Stormwater discharge, national pollutant discharge elimination system permit, Title 40, CFR Part 122 may require to discharge the stormwater review of the federal, state, local stormwater regulations is required. Per design, construction discharge stormwater includes controlled drainage, storage tanks, area with an impermeable dike enclosures, drain system leading to impediments, draining the treatment system, draining the facility, transfer operation, pumping tank or car, tank truck loading, offloading areas, drainage to the equipment of vehicle maintenance areas. And 14.5.3, spill prevention control measurement plan. Minimum requirements of spill prevention of the United States are contained in Title 40 CFR Part 112. Require the preparation of spill prevention control and countermeasure plan. Facilities may be discharged fuel with navigable waters of the United States, specifically designed feature necessary to meet the spill prevention control countermeasure objectives at all facilities. Spill prevention control countermeasures plans must demonstrate fuel facility be designed constructed in a manner that will prevent spillage, and should such spillage occur, prevent the spill from leaving the property or entering the waterway. Reviewing API bulletin D16 to assist the conformance regulation for the Title 33 CFR Part 154 small discharge contaminant. Alright, 14.5.4 meeting spill control. Spill prevention control countermeasure plan. Objectives Title 40 CFR Part 112 allows spill prevention countermeasure plan. Objectives to meet either spill contaminant spill treatment facilities covered the USC. Only spill contaminant system or acceptable spill treatment sensors will not be allowed to meet the spill prevention control countermeasure requirements unless they are required by regulation. Provide treatment systems or water separators to discharge the spill. Contaminant systems only required by the federal, state, local regulations by service headquarters. Typical for facilities require spill contaminant system are fuel storage tanks, tanker car, truck loading, offloading, parking areas, tanker car loading, offloading areas. Or your spill contaminant system, spill prevention control and countermeasure plan objectives exceed Title 40 CFR Part 12 or 11.2 shall be met with an impermeable spill contaminants designed to prevent spill leaving the property unless the spill treatment system is required by federal, state, local regulations or service headquarters. See the individual chapters of the UFC requirement. 14.5.6 Spill treatment system oil water separators. Treatment of the system oil water separators may not be used to meet the requirements of the Title 40 CFR Part 112 unless required by federal, state, local regulations determined by the appropriate regulatory agents. Do not provide oil water separators to treat the discharge from spill contamination, secondary contaminant dikes, tank, truck, parking, or area loading and offloading facilities. Usually specially required regulations selecting a conventional rectangular API type of gravity oil water separator. One of the included parallel plates is possible to design separator of rectangular vessel with only fully open top lid, easy in the inspection and cleaning. Design construction separated in accordance with the following: ACI 350s 4R04 conservation environmental concrete structure. Conserve the following items: size, the oil water separator, anticipated inlet flow rate of 5 years, 1 hour duration, storm event, typical of fuel, specific gravity, physicality of fuel, special ambient product temperature range of product, storage capacities required, possible contaminants present, operating parameters and intermittent continuous required, parallel plates, construction non-ophthalmic materials such as fiberglass, range pilot plates in the downflow, crossflow mode such as oil collects high point corrugations rates, stop without clogging with settable fluids. solids. Considering installing a retention base upstream oil water separator, this would allow the settlement of prior to reach oil water separator, allow the option to reach for the released stormwater oil water separator to appropriate stormwater collection. Alright, 14.5.7 leak detection required with the federal, state, local regulation. Install leak detection on above ground tank bottoms, underground storage tanks, and underground piping. 14.5D water disposal, providing holding tank of the wastewater, any water which may have contact significant quantities of fuel such as water collected with the tank, subs, equipment drains, equipment sumps, to ensure that the tank construction forms as federal, state, local environmental qualities, provide means to remove the wastewater off-site disposal. Dewatering construction purposes necessary for the contamination suspected theft of the groundwater prior to construction. Determined the external contamination groundwater has to be potentially to be contaminated with a petroleum product review. Federal, state, local regulation for acceptable treatment methods and permits may be required to treatment or disposal of the water. Alright, 14.6 above ground storage tanks. 14.6.1 design and requirements above ground storage tanks might be single wall, double wall, horizontal, vertical, protected, fire resistant. Discussed in Chapter 8. There is no single federal regulation specifically addressed above ground storage tanks similar to Title 40 CFR Part 280, solely governing underground storage tanks. Majority of federal environmental design requirements come from either Title 40 CFR Part 112 or Title 29 CFR Part 1910.106. Regulations include environmental related requirements for diking, drainage, flooding, corrosion protection, inspection, tests, and records, brittle fracture analysis. The designer must consult the latest version of the regulation to comply with all the federal, state, local regulations. Alright, 14.6.2, other requirement of tanks to be installed with a locale state with the more stringent criteria. The most stringent for the tanks to be installed in a foreign country following more stringent local regulations. 14.7 underground storage tanks design. All underground and cut and cover storage tanks are to be double wall type. Single wall underground storage are not allowed for underground storage tanks larger than 110 gallons. The following are required by Title 40 CFR Part 280. Corrosion protection for the tank, associated underground piping, high level alarm, spill, overfill protection, release detection. And 14.7.2 other requirements for the tank is to be installed locale state with a more stringent criteria. Use more stringent criteria. Tank to be installed with a foreign country for the following most stringent local regulations. Alright, 15, fire protection. General requirement to design all petroleum storage, fuel, handling, transportation, distribution facilities with the following consideration of hazard nature fuels to be handled with their vapors. Protect above ground storage tank, exterior fire protection, water system, provide fire protection, water mains, hydrant valves, pumps, application devices to permit, control brushing, grass fires, cooling storage tanks in event of fire exposure. Provide a minimum of 2 hydrants, locate hydrants, valves outside, direct area accessible from 2 fire department pumper vehicles. Okay, hydrants protected exposure can be reached from the hose runs not exceeding 300 feet. Alright, 15.2.2 tank interior fire protection system. Tanks containing Class 1 flammable fuels, mission critical Class 2 combustible fuels such as JP8 shall be equipped with full contact and aluminum honeycomb floating pan. Other Class 2 fuels requiring floating pan that does not tank does not comply with space or decking requirements. USC tanks storing mission critical Class 3 vehicle fuels such as JP5 and diesel fuel marine. If located hot desert-like climate, also require floating pan to eliminate the fuel interface. A single slide sealing well penetrates the floating pan, maximum diameter of 10 inches, as used for the automatic tank gauge. Is also provided with the vapor sleeve bellow with a slot wadded well with view of the manual measurement. Shall be equipped with an improved floating plug 8-inch slot stilling well with the automatic tank gauge system leveling device and 6-inch minimum nominal size slotted sitting well automatic tank gauge system. Water probe are allowed to be provided without floating plugs. Alright, 15.3 fire protection on pumping facilities. Fuel pump houses with over 50% of the fuel hydrant pumping capacities. One fire area. Areas enclosed shall they be protected with automatic fire suppression systems such as fire sprinkler system, foam, water system, suppression system, etc. Fuel pumps houses where over 50% of the transfer pump is one enclosed fire area shall be protected. Automatic fire suppression foam, waters, fire suppression system, etc. Readily available mobile equipment is within 50% of the total pumping capacity can be used to eliminate need a fire suppression system when mobile pumping out of the is selected. Provide connection points, fuel system, temporary mobile pumps in the event that pump facilities lost. Pump pads and pump shelters do not need fire suppression systems. Alright, 15.3.1, pump house, pump shelter, and pump pads. Pump pad has no roof or canopy. Pump shelters has a roof, at least one, only complete with one adequate fire department access. Total open area wall area is 50% or more. A pump house has a roof, a total open area wall area less than 50%. 15.3, fire department access. Provide adequate fire department access for all pumping facilities. Provide fire department access to all open sides of the pump house and pump shelter. Provide fire department access to at least two sides of the pump pad. Fire protection for underground vertical storage tanks, fire protection water systems, provide fire protection water mains, hydrant valve pumps, application devices to prevent control of the brush grass fires, cooling with above ground piping, equipment associated with underground vertical storage tanks in the event of the fire exposure, provide a minimum of 2 hydrants. Locate hydrants so their particular exposure can be reached through the hose run not exceeding 300 feet, comply with all the requirements for water supply, except for the minimum flow rate. Minimum duration per hydrant shall be calculated using the smallest diameter above ground petroleum oil lubricant tank. 15.5, protection of tank truck, and tanker car facilities. Facilities such as loading stands used for the transfer of flammable combustible liquid to tanker truck refuelers, tanker car drums, or other portable containers. Provide portable dry chemical extinguisher, appropriate size, number, and location for the exposure. 15.6, protection of eco-aircraft fueling facilities. Provide firefighting equipment in accordance with local requirements for the National Fire Protection Association 407. Protection of fuel testing laboratories should comply with the general facility requirement of the National Fire Protection Association 45. Laboratories using chemicals. 15.8, protection support facilities comply with local requirements for fire protection support facilities. 15.9, protection fuel piers. Provide protection with the piers fixed piping system used for the transfer of flammable combustible liquid in accordance with the following: UFD 3600-01, 41501, 415 15002, 1415006, National Fire Protection 30, 38, and 307, liquids handled with the bulk quantities across general purpose piers and waivers. Alright, 15.9, 1, fire protection water system. Use fire water system hydrants located so the vessels alongside can be reached for the hose line no longer than 300 feet. Determine total water demands piers based on extra hazardous occupancy classification. Alright, 16. Your emergency shutdown, emergency fuel shutoff push buttons are required wherever there is potential for the accidental release. Emergency fuel shutoff push button stations are required near the tank, south side of the berm area, the tanker car, tanker truck loading, offloading, refueler trucks, fuel stands, aircraft, direct fuel stations, pumps, fuel piers, etc. All pumps shall shut down, and all motor operated valves shall close with the emergency fuel shutoff button pressed, and an alarm shall be enunciated with the master alarm panel. Operation all pumps shall be discontinued until all emergency fuel shutdown push buttons are cleared and the alarm is acknowledged. Off-base pipeline receipt and tanker receipts may be exemption. Contact service headquarters for direction. Alright, 17. Your electromagnetic radiation hazards, potential ignition hazards for petroleum storing, dispensing, and handling facilities may be created by emission. Electromagnetic devices such as radio, radar, beam signal strength has been known to cause ignition, flammable vapor, air, make sure conductive electrical heating, the solid materials for electric arc, sparks for the chains of the resident connection. For additional information for the National Fire Protection Association 407, incorporate the following special precaution restrictions designed with petroleum fuel facilities. Locate radio transmission antennas as far as practical possible from the fuel storage transfer area. Do not locate fuel transfer facilities closer than 300 feet from aircraft warning radar antennas. Do not locate fuel storage transfer feet closer than 500 feet from airport ground approach and control equipment. Do not locate fuel storage transfer facility closer than 300 feet from areas of airborne surveillance radar may be operated. Do not locate fuel storage transfer facilities closer than 100 feet from airport surface detection radar equipment. Alright, 18. Your identification. Identify all pipeline tanks to product service by color coding, banning, product name, local designation requirements, directions of flow, mark valves, pump meters, and other items. Equipment that easily discernible, painted numbers, numbered, corrosion-resistant metal, plastic tags attached with suitable fasteners. Ensure the numbers correspond to those of schematic flow diagrams and other drawings for the installation. Mark tanks with easily discernible painted numbers, letters that indicate what the following additional requirements state with the military standard 161 tank number facility. Number: no smoking on Class 1 tanks, confined spacing on roof, manhole, ladder hatch. Mark tanks in accordance with the National Fire Protection Association 704. Anti-static design, contact static buildup design, refer to the CRC report number 346 and 355, API recommended practice 2003. Because any more of the variables involved, such as property, fuels, geometry, equipment layouts, no specific limits are established for design factors such as velocities. 19.1. Piping inlet connections, design connections for the tank receive velocity of the prevent splashing from the using disc fuel or fuel products are not permitted to free fall under any circumstance. Position inlet and close of the tank floor as possible to limit free fall. Enclosed vapor spaces above the flammable combustible hydrocarbon in the tank. Other liquid containers must have any pointed protection probes, which could be focal points for the static electric discharge. Filters and separator. The heaviest electrostatic charge is usually developed in filtering elements of the equipment design should attempt to produce such charges before fueling is transferred into the storage tank, vehicle tanks, or any other equipment containing vapor space. By means of resonant timing of the piping relaxation tank, provide a minimum 30-second relaxation time between this equipment and discharging into the tank vehicle. The only aviation turbine fuel currently in the inventory requires the minimum relaxation time of the JP5, JPETS. Other aviation turbine fuels that do not contain SDA relaxation time is not required for project handling. Only fuels containing static dissipator additives provide with a conductive level greater than 50 conductivity units at the fuel temperature of all the operations. Fuel temperature over the operation. Example, the JP4 and JP8 provide means of slow filling, prevent static discharge when first filling the empty filter separator vessel. 19.4. Aircraft direct fuel station JP5 requires 30-second residence time in the piping relaxation tank after flowing through the filtration before being discharged into the aircraft to allow separate charges generated with the filtering element to recombine and neutralize themselves when possible. The design piping layout to provide the required 30-second relaxation time without using the relaxation tank. 9.5. Truck bottom loads. Provide facilities only capable of the bottom loading of the trucks. Facilities routinely handle trucks that are not capable of the bottom loading should obtain approval of the additional top loading capability from the appropriate authority. Refer to the National Fire Protection Association 77. American Petroleum Institute recommended practice 2003 for additional information and requirements. Operation maintenance documents. Equipment operation maintenance documents and all construction procurement contracts require operation maintenance data for the precise pieces of equipment that require maintenance and other requiring setting and adjusting, starting, stopping, calibrating similar operational activities. Alright, 22. Operational Maintenance Support Information, OMSI. The Operational Maintenance Support Information for all new facilities is required to determine and include the requirement for complete operational maintenance support information for the new facilities. Major rehabilitation will be made with the appropriate authority. And 21. Protection against seismic activity. Design fuel facility, building, structure, seismic requirements in accordance with the appropriate codes and regulations. Design above ground vertical storage tanks in accordance with the API standard 650 and Appendix E. Analyze flexible above ground pipelines using techniques to account for harmonic response. And then it goes into the test, and so this was your petroleum fuel facility general design information.